All right, time is now 6:30. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. You just call out your name from starting down your end, Gary, please.
Gary Sullivan.
Sean Peterson.
Linda Sterling.
Gene Gorman.
John Shaw.
Lisa reached out to me to let me know that she would not be able to make it tonight, but I have had no communication from Ted. The next item of business is I put the wrong date on there. Should have said June 11th. With motion, entertain a motion that we table the minutes for June 11th to our next meeting.
I move table minutes until next meeting.
Okay. Motion made by Don and seconded by Lynn. Table the minutes to the next meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? At this point, I'll open up the floor to citizens' participation if there's anybody that would like to address the board.
Shocking anyway. Hey, congratulations on passing the budget. But, here's the thing. I'm going to give you feedback from people that I talked to. So, I brought it up in the first meeting of the budget referendum season. And, you guys are pointing out, the town's only going to get $182,000 extra money. That's wrong. It's 100% false. The town got $1 million increase this year because 800 and something thousand was from the debt being paid off. So imagine imagine you're owning your home. You pay your mortgage off, but then the mortgage company turns around and goes, you know what, you're only kidding, you got to pay one more year. That's what you're asking the taxpayers to do. $811,000 fell off of debt. And what you guys do? You went and spent it. What's going to come up? I believe it's 2027. There's going to want to be a bond to fix all the schools. And you spent the money. Now it's gone. So when you go to do that bond, you're going to have to put a bond in the budget. And you're going to want extra money for the board, the bed. You're going to want extra money for the town. You already took $1.2 million out of the fund balance. You spent another $800,000, so you took $2 million out of fund balance. Took $800,000 from debt service. So now you're already $2.8 million in the hole before you even can think of getting an increase in your budgets next year. Where are you going to come up with $5 million next year? Where is the town going to come up with $5 million and that's not getting a bond to fix the schools? Uline's not going to give you that money. Amazon's not going to give you that money. They're going to be worth maybe $2 million total. So you got $2 million back out of, say, $5 million. Where are you going to make up the other $3 million? Taxpayers are already, I'm telling you, I told you back in October, November of last year when the budget season started. You're not going to pass that high of an increase. This is why people vote no. The other thing is, and I don't know how this happened, and I noticed it, and I just said at the third meeting, I said, the heck with it, I'm just going to let it go. The SRO and the town budget was always $51,000. The last budget showed up with $70,000. How do you add $19,000 to a position before you go to the third budget vote? How does that happen? Nobody caught it. I saw it. I looked at Matt Reid, and I said, I'm not even going to bother. But how does $19,000 get added to that line? How? Right? And then you wonder why there's no trust. You said it, Sean. Sometimes you just don't trust the numbers. And I agree. You can't trust when you see something like that. And yeah, it's only $19,000, but that's blatant. And again, you spent all that other money. The Board of Ed says, I'm not saying the superintendent, but you have people out there speaking for them, who say, well, we need $2 million, 80% of it is for contractual obligations, so we can't do anything about that 80%. Last time I took math, 2 million times 80% was 1.6 million. They got an increase of 933, and they got their 2 cornerstone asks that they wanted. And there's no job loss. I'm not asking for job loss. But what I'm saying is, how do you make the numbers work? The numbers don't work. Because if you got if you're telling the public you need $1.6 million in contractual obligations, and you only get 933, and you get your 2 cornerstones, where's the money coming from? This again is why the public votes no, and they don't trust the numbers, and they call you budget bloated. This is exactly why. So just think about that for next year, because you're gonna need it again next year.
Clarify that 19,000 so you know where it came from. The Board of Selectmen had a meeting and they moved money from the police pension to the school resource officer, $19,000. The reason why there was an increase is the police officer is not going to be a new hire, it's going to be a senior officer that comes into the school. So that if you look at the union contract, that costs more money. So that's why. It's not a new hire.
Kelly, when was that done?
Board of Selectmen, I could look it up and let you know, but it was at a Board of Selectmen.
Naomi Smith. I'm going to go off what Scott said about public dress. So on June 3rd, there was a Board of Selectmen meeting, and there was discussions between Selectman Bory and Selectman Cunningham on the transfer station, coming off the budget. At that point, Mr. Cunningham stated that he had hired a man to work with the transfer station. And Peggy asked him, you already hired him? And he said, yes. She asked what his salary was because it was not reflected anywhere in the budget. He said it was not a salary, it was a stipend. So my question is, have we contracted with somebody prior to this vote? Has there been any money paid to anyone through a stipend?
What's that?
I said, not that I know. No.
But anything paid like that would come out, you would issue that, right, from your department,
Well,
Kelly?
It's not a payroll stipend, so it wouldn't be that. I want to say the gentleman's name is Winston something, way back when. I used him before. But I haven't seen a contract with the town in Winston, no, and I haven't seen any payments going out to him, no.
Okay.
You said Winston knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I don't remember his last name though.
Averill.
What is it?
Averill.
It was years ago we used him, probably 10, 12
I wouldn't
years
even
ago.
have questioned it, except when Kevin said he hired him, which is like past tense, it's already happened.
He might have
So that's why.
talked long ago. I haven't seen anything about hiring, no.
And I know for a stipend, you can stipend people for experience, expertise, knowledge, consultant work. So that's why my question was, did he stipend any money to this
Not that I'm
gentleman?
aware of, no.
All right, that was it. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, if not, we'll move on to our next order of business, which is to review financial report presented by the Board of Selectmen. I see you're here, but probably most of my questions will be directed to you. On the first page, and I usually reference the previous report along with the second report.
Yes, I'm sorry. Something was wrong
No.
financially with my system, and then Becky sent it out Tuesday morning.
No, that's
So it's
fine.
a little different format. Doesn't look
The
Yeah.
question I have is, we have not received anything from special duty this year.
No, okay, so I booked that at the end of the year. So I was able to get, as of May 30th, the receivable that the police has versus what my general ledger is. And what we can estimate is $133,000.
Okay.
Okay, that's my estimate as of right now. But I have to wait till the end of June and then I'll book it.
Okay. Is that ever, we always wait till the end of the year?
Yes, okay, yes, we do. So unless you guys want next year, you could have a revenue side of, you can see the revenue coming in for special duty, and then you can have the expenditure side. So all the payroll would hit there, and all your revenue would hit on the other side, and you can see that. A lot of towns do it that way, but we do it this way.
Right.
So if you wanna change it, we can change that.
So the special duty money is coming in there only in a separate account,
It's going into my cash account, so it's in the general operating account.
but we're
Yes.
currently paying out of the other accounts.
No,
pay
we're
these
paying it,
officers.
no, special duty comes all out of the same account, it's
Coming
1,
out of that
1, 2, 3.
account? Right.
It's a receivable account. So at the end of the year, when I book it, you're going to see the revenue and the expenditures, you'll see it, it'll be posted.
Under state revenue, local capital, we haven't done anything with that.
Nope, so the only time you receive local capital is when I draw it down. So I didn't draw any local capital down yet, I will draw it for the ramp that's going on in the front of the town hall, but after that project's completed, then I get payment. So you'll see it in next fiscal year.
Okay.
That money rolls forward, so it keeps rolling.
All right.
Any other questions on the first page? Right now, I'm looking at the selectmen's line, and the thing that caught my eye is legal notices. Are we gonna accumulate more?
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably,
yeah.
yeah, probably some with the, referendums.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
But you think we'll exhaust those funds?
I don't know how much referendum is being posted, like when I post mine, I think it's about $500, is yours $1,000?
A little bit higher than yours, between 8 and, this next one just being the one question should be a little cheaper, I'll get the quote tomorrow, but
You're gonna see some of that money go down, I don't think all of it, but some of it down.
Okay. So chances are we're not gonna exhaust the $8,500. Under finance audit, we still have we paid them completely?
I just received the bill
Okay.
for the completion of the audit.
Okay.
So
And
you're
that'll
gonna see that
exhaust
coming
those
out by the
funds?
end of the, you're not gonna exhaust all those funds now, but a portion of it you will.
Okay.
Under the rentals, town hall and pool,
Yep.
is all the money that's gonna come into so far?
No, so this is posted through May, okay?
May.
So when we post June, credit cards, so I have to wait till the end of the month, reconcile cash in with the credit cards, and that's when it gets posted. So that happens in July sometime.
Any other questions? On the next page, registrars, I'm assuming that we're gonna need to
Line
have
item
a
transfer,
minor.
yeah, like $400, that's my prediction,
Okay.
yeah. That'll take care of that. They got their final payment through June, they're all set.
One thing that I've noticed as I've gone through this report, it seems like a lot of departments on their supplies and expense have come near to exhausting those funds. Maybe,
You can note that for next year, maybe in the budget, you know.
yeah. That seems like it could be an opportunity for us.
Yep.
It is. It's an opportunity to have transfer.
What's that?
It's an opportunity to have line item transfer money.
showing like 3,000, but I have a lot, that will be coming out, so I can get my employer, I can get my paperwork, you know, so all of that stuff, that hasn't been here,
Okay.
but it's coming.
Any other questions on page 3? All right, under highway department, I'm assuming, we're gonna have a lot of overtime money left over because we haven't had to utilize it.
Yeah, as long as it's small amounts.
Yeah.
I don't foresee that in the future.
Right. I mean, that's kinda hard to predict. Next year we can get slammed.
Yeah, you don't know.
How come we're so over on the police mechanic? He's still got a lot left there.
Because they're paid bi-weekly. Everyone else is paid weekly, and he's paid bi-weekly, and he's out workers' comp.
Any other questions on page 4?
Are all the receipts in from motor fuel so far?
No. I because it's not the end of June yet. So we have to pull reports at the end of June, and then we book it to the department.
When this was out of May though, so we're pretty close.
So yeah, pretty close.
Does he plan on filling up the sand at the town garages at the end of the season?
I don't,
He's
I
still got
think he's
68%.
pretty much has a good inventory. I can ask him, but I don't think I think he has a good inventory.
Would be a bad idea, actually.
Well, typically, they do it the end of the year, they'll fill it. There's still a lot there.
On the building inspector, it doesn't look like he utilized much of his budget for his computer. I thought he was looking to purchase one.
He could be in the process. We subcontracted that out with, I want to say, but they have merged with another company right now. So I can find out.
Planning, the GIS hosting,
Yep.
are they gonna spend that? They just get 88% left there.
Yeah. I'll ask. I'll find out.
It's page 6. Anyone have any questions there? Questions on page 7?
Unemployment, we're going to do a line item transfer. Unemployment.
Now,
We had a ton of unemployment. Yep.
has there been any recent requests on tax refunds?
Yeah, he usually has them every meeting. You have like 2 or 3.
Hasn't been many lately.
Yeah, not lately.
One or, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on 7?
How can you not even figure out how many flags you need?
I didn't place the
Yeah,
order.
I know, $297 over.
Yeah, I didn't place
You
the
can't
order,
figure that one
so
out?
I don't know. I don't know how, yeah.
Jesus.
Any other questions on 7? Question 8 is, I'm assuming we haven't fully paid NECOG yet for this year? Because we've got,
Yeah, so NECOG represents our paramedics, so we have a paramedics program for NECOG, so we'll get billed monthly for that, so obviously June isn't in here, May should be in here, but not June.
okay.
American Ambulance, the American Legion doesn't have paramedics.
No. Yeah, and then in one fiscal year, one time NECOG increased the price, just in the middle of the year, they're just like, now it's gonna be so much more, so I try to make sure there's sufficient money in there, just in case that comes up again.
All right, any questions on page 9?
RSA, municipal revenue sharing account. We're gonna use that 144 for safety. That should be getting, signed soon for the contract. before the end.
The 350 for Dow Road, is that under the fund balance?
Yeah. It's restricted.
Is that even proceeding?
Not that I know of. I haven't seen any official document, but from what I was told, that
That's gonna be probably $500,000 by the time we get around to doing it.
Now, we'll just take out the other $3 million for next year.
All right, any other questions? All right, if not, I will entertain a motion that we accept this financial report as presented.
I'll make the motion to accept the financial report.
All right, motion is made by Sean,
I'll second.
seconded by Don to accept this financial report as presented. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? No. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is discussion and about the Board of Ed's financial report.
Do we have copies of that available here for us?
I don't believe so, okay. Is there one?
I'm gonna talk to see if I can get copies.
Well, as a volunteer, I shouldn't have to make copies at my house. I mean, I don't mind looking at my emails, but I shouldn't have to look at copies in the meeting. I mean, I should have copies looked at in the meeting. And we should all have copies provided. That way we're all on the same page. In case somebody's got a different copy, which seems to be happening a lot lately.
What else do you need for the copy?
There was something last couple meetings ago, I was on the wrong paper because there was a newer version available.
It depends on which one you print it.
Yeah, I guess so.
It does depend on when you print it, like, if you get on your email.
But usually Board of Ed, there's still here for us, that without a question, that's not an issue where they have one available. But I guess we don't give them enough money.
You were gonna have to go to my office, maybe?
No, that's
Well,
I'm super confused by that. We always send our reports to the Board of Finance in advance.
As an email, I shouldn't have to print the copy to have the discussion here in the meeting. There should be a copy here available for me.
You're asking, I'm just curious, what would you like the Board of Ed to copy for you?
I would-
We send happy to comply with the request. I'm confused by the request. So the Board of Education sends all of our materials digitally to the Board of Finance and the town prints those. The town didn't print our materials, is that what you're saying?
Correct. And in the past, you carried those documents in with you and handed them out for us, I believe.
No, I've never.
I thought we've always had a report from you.
No, I brought in extra documents, but I've never actually printed that report.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to discuss any further without that documentation.
Sean, I'm happy to print it, I've got a copy back here. It'll take
Okay.
2 minutes to warm up, but I'm happy to print it.
That's right there. Right there, yeah, I know, that's why,
Who all needs copies of the report?
Yeah, I'd like to see a show of hands who has it and who doesn't.
Well, if anybody's got it, they printed it at their house.
I think I'm the only one that has it.
I
Yeah, you have it?
I had a
So
little
I agree
issue
with-
today, and then you're
I
gonna
agree with you.
I do however want it to be helpful, so I'm just gonna ask, as I'm printing this, to take a minute to warm up, so
I have this time. What's the standard moving forward? I've never been asked to print it before. Is that the standard moving forward that you'd like me to
In
print?
my
out?
opinion,
Yeah, the town usually prints it.
in my opinion, I don't care who prints it, there should be copies of the paperwork here for all the board members. So if it's the town that's gonna print it, whatever, if the school's gonna print it, whatever, I don't care who pays for it. I shouldn't have to pay for it out of my pocket.
Sean, I'm not saying that you should, but you made some pretty strong comments, and I feel obligated to respond. You made an accusation we weren't doing what we're supposed to do. And
Well,
I feel obligated to
in the
respond.
past, I've always seen them here, so I'm sorry, I guess you didn't print them, I don't know.
I just want to do whatever the Board of Finance Chair asks me to do.
Philly usually prints them.
Yeah.
I had technology problems.
Yeah.
They're not here.
Just clarifying, so he does that.
Gary, you said you have a copy? Well, we only need 4 sets. Thank you. Take that 5. I think it's a dance
Oh, yeah, I just sent it for me. I wasn't sure she sent it to you guys. Yeah, she might send it out to the partners.
While you're reviewing the packet, for the sake of time, I'll review different items. Somewhere on the board agenda is information about passing out items at meetings. I didn't know what that was, but I do have, which I can share for the Board of Finance. This is an agreement with Hugh Chittick, Leibowitz, and Blizzard. We have already started at the Board of Ed. We've already received our information from Marvin now, something bid. On next year's audit, we've already engaged the outside firm to start working on them. We've already started June 16th, next year's audit. So we're ahead of the curve on that, and as we mentioned last year, we've engaged the same outside firm which works with them to make sure they can get the information quickly. With permission, I was going to make copies of this, but I saw that on the agenda and I didn't want to pass something out on the day of that I'm not supposed to. But I have this, I can send it to you. In addition to that, at the end of the year, as things got a little warmer, we had some things basically in the last 2 weeks as heat has kicked up. We've had some systems fail. Currently, we're working upstairs to try to make sure that we can get the auditorium cool for dance works this weekend. On Monday, the air conditioning that unit failed. It's a train unit. It's original to the building. It is a motor. We've gone out to train to try to get that repaired. That's going to be a last-minute end-of-year capital expense. In addition to that, the compressor at Central School went as the temperature got hotter. We have the quote for that. We've engaged in that PO. That's $11,500. There's an additional piece that we have at Moosup Elementary School, which is in the last 2 days of school during our annual end-of-year inspection, we discovered that the drainage, which is right in the bus lane, is starting to fail. We wanted to address that immediately, especially given that Park and Rec is at Moosup this summer. So we've engaged in the board approved work with K&H to do a project there. That's going to be $28,000. The retainer for Hugh Chittick, Leibowitz, and Blizzard is going to be $10,000. So those are things that we've engaged in at the end of the year. Aside from that, we've had a nice closeout. We're trying to address the items in the budget that we said we were going to address, such as prepaying the pension and making sure that our health insurance is in healthy shape. Everything else is within the budget, and we are engaging in everything else. You probably saw the biggest news in Plainfield schools was that Natasha Hutchinson, who's lived in the community for a very long time, actually started at Plainfield Catholic 20 years ago, for those who remember the school, is our new assistant superintendent. Very excited to have someone with such deep roots in Plainfield in our central office, and we've posted for her position and are hoping to fill that sometime in the month of July. So we will have probably a full month where we won't have a principal, and Mrs. Hutchinson will be doing 2 pieces for the month of July with the budget.
Can I just respond to one thing for the superintendent? You mentioned the handout printout to the board. In our bylaws, it says we prefer to have our information 5 days, no later than Monday. But the last line says, we can decide whether to take it or not. So if you've got it.
Sure, and I can make copies. The machine's warmed up.
Thank you.
So, and I will say I like having you here in our high school. So you're welcome to be here at any time.
I do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Right, you listed a couple of things that you've already allocated expense funds for. Right now, your 2% set aside is at $51,000. I think that's going to take up most of the compressor, the drainage issues, and
we are so we have funds from the end of the year that we received from the State Department of Ed. They did a special education grant that they passed. Whatever the last day of session, June 2nd, June 3rd, that we're using that will be able to offset some of those. I am hoping to have money at the end of this year to actually add to the 2% set aside, because my goal, I'll say this publicly, my goal is to get that track fixed. And every single morning I come into work, people are walking the track. And I need to invest, I need to be putting money aside so I can get that track fixed.
when do you think you'll know what that actual grant is going to be?
We know what the grant from the State Department of Ed is. They gave us $140,000 as an additional special education grant. That was for last fiscal year. Mrs. Grant, do you know the name of what that special education fund was? Yeah. It was part of that excess cost grant.
then this is our engagement letter related to the outside firm who's going to help us be expeditious with the audit. I wanted to share this now so that you knew we had heard the concerns of the community and we were getting out ahead of it.
You had mentioned the three, what is it? Yeah, the three recent needs that have come up. Are the sinks in the men's room in the height that's down here, are they part of the plan to repair?
So what we have, and it's an interesting question. So the restroom that's right here has a pipe that goes out of the restroom out into a public ditch. And what's happened through no fault of anything other than ground settling in the earth is that pipe itself had earth underneath it go down, and the pipe bowed. And as it bowed, things that go through bathroom pipes have clogged in that pipe. So we have had to have the floor cut in the attendance offices. They've gone down in, they've pulled that pipe out. That whole project is happening, and we couldn't do some of it while students were in the building. Students are out of the building as of Wednesday. As Wednesday. So this being our first day without students in the building, that project going to engage. We already started today out at Plainfield Central Middle School using the food service account to redo the repair to the fridge and freezer there. So there was a seal issue there. So we had there was a lot happening in Plainfield schools today, including a job fair. So we were doing everything we could, but that project is there. Those bathrooms will be closed until that pipe is fixed. And I believe that is a report that's doing that work for us.
Do you have any estimate as what your underruns will be this year if you could apply to the 2% set aside?
I can't estimate yet because we don't know what the final bill is going to come in on I don't have a quote yet for what the train repair is going to be. We have a circuit panel that works with fans on the top of PCMS that we went out to Bonner Electric, and we're waiting for a quote on that. Should be in the next couple of days. So we'll have in the next couple of days. Whatever I do, I have to do by the 30th.
You probably won't be reconciling until what, probably August sometime?
Yep, so plan
Roughly
for
August?
August 31st, before we finalize our state report.
We will be ahead of our previous 2 years.
So that 2% thing, you will have a good idea by then?
Yeah. We moved up all of our timelines internally for when all building POs had to be done, all of those things. We also have closed out all the state grants as of June 13th.
Yep, from the first one in, and then expenditures are reviewed at the end of May.
Which is 2 weeks before we did the last.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Paul, what was the name of the company again that you've retained as far as assistance on the audit? What's the name?
They're right on top of the paper I gave you.
Okay.
And I say it's a really long name.
You definitely have some issues on utilities, right? The way it looks, overruns?
So yes.
Yeah.
This particular year, we underestimated the cost of heating. Now, some of that's also repair units.
Well, yeah, this is excluding heat, I'm assuming that's electric?
It's electric.
Yeah.
We made adjustments in next year's budget to account for utilities. So, and the weight room, which we put gas, heat, propane down the hill by the football field, getting a lot more use. We're going into co-op for next year. We had between 80 and 90 students show up at the co-op initial meeting. So we will be fielding 3 football teams next year, freshman, varsity, and JV. Take me off camera, I'll tell you we're going to be critical.
Any other questions? All right, now I'll entertain a motion that we accept this financial report presented by the Board of Ed. All right, we have a motion made by Don to accept the report. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Gary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Alright. The next item on our agenda is to discuss and appoint a subcommittee to review and revise the Board of Finance bylaws. I think it's always good to take a look at things, make sure that we're up to date. I know, Linda, this was something that you've talked about. Are you willing to serve on that subcommittee?
Yes.
Okay. And I know, Stephanie, that you reached out to me about being part of that as well. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would be interested in working on this review of our bylaws? If not, I will appoint Linda and Stephanie to review this, our set of bylaws, and to see if there's any revisions that need to be made. All right, next item, discuss the process of printouts at the board meeting. Linda, could you read again from the bylaws, just so we can revisit that, just to make sure we're all on the same page? I think that.
When I needed it, it was right there. Now it's not there at all. Final agenda with all supporting materials shall be distributed to the Board of Finance members at least 5 days prior to board meeting to permit the board members sufficient time to give items of business careful consideration. Staff will make every effort to deliver agenda and supporting materials to board members by the Friday, but no later than Monday, preceding the regular Wednesday meeting. The agenda and all supporting materials shall also be made available to the press, community, staff, and student organizations, and to others upon request. But a charge for the cost of materials may be included.
I think on a go-forward basis, I mean, the week before our meetings, I'll send out a request for the financial reports. And usually we get it within 5 days, but this time.
Thursday usually.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
Well, I asked that it be put on the agenda simply because, over budget season, we've been sitting here and getting handouts in the middle of the meeting, and it just doesn't give us enough time to actually digest what we're looking at. So, it is in the bylaws, but, it's never been an issue until a couple of months.
I think, Sean, you make a valid point.
I have no problem receiving emails
Yeah.
to look at.
Yeah.
But when we come into the meetings, there needs to be hard copies available here for all of us. That way we're all on the same page, we'll make sure we have the right paperwork. I don't want to be looking at the wrong form again.
I think if you're sending, Courtney, if you're sending information to all of us, you usually copy Kelly as well, right? Okay. And I, as someone that prints out most of the stuff myself, there's sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, we're running out of paper. But I think your point is well made that we should have that available here as well. I mean, it's one thing to look at it at home, but when you start printing out stuff and
So how do the other boards do it? The recording secretary does it, or the planning and zoning director does it? Do you know? Is
I
anyone
don't.
from the board?
It's county staff.
So meaning the recording secretary or the director? Well, I don't know any other boards, so I just asked.
Planning and zoning, I don't know who's actually doing the work, but I know it's always there. I mean, Ryan mails it ahead of time. I get a,
Way when I
with
was.
Wetlands, you got a copy of the agenda mailed to my house with the staff reports. Planning and zoning, same thing. But I'm not saying you have to mail them. I don't mind an email, but I want a hard copy here. That's all.
Could I interject?
I'm sorry?
Could I interject here for some?
All right, you'll have to speak up.
Could I give you some clarification for statute, and I believe it's even in our charter, that the finance director is responsible to provide all documentations to the Board of Finance prior to meetings. So it's actually up to the finance director's
I
office
didn't
whether
know that, so
you,
thank you. Now I know the finance director.
It's in the contract.
Thank you.
just because you work in direct connection with the board.
Okay, got it, thank you. I got it.
All right.
Which means you even have the right to request anything from the Board of Education that you need for the Board of Finance to make sure they have everything in front of them.
Any other thoughts about that? If for some reason, Kelly, you're having technical difficulties like you just
Today
did.
was my first day back, and
Yeah.
I've been more hard.
Yeah.
I am down people.
If you
right
could
now.
just give us a heads up, and maybe one of, if it's agendas need to be printed out, something maybe we could have, and help us out. I mean, because every time I walk in there, she's just looking for something different. All right, yeah. Okay.
Well, Dean, on that recreation thing that we've been discussing,
Yeah.
on one of their documents, there was 60 pages to
Yes,
it.
I know. I didn't print that one out.
And you know, just for the
Don't worry, I'll use the town
I don't
paper.
need it.
Any losses
I don't need it.
I'll have it all ready for you.
I don't need it.
1,000
I'm
pages.
sorry,
There we
Kelly.
go.
just to get a
That's another bill.
and paper.
That's another bill.
Okay, Linda, you got the floor?
It is.
Just
Oh,
to
yeah.
decide.
We'll be burning paper left and right.
All right.
Stop.
All right, Linda, please continue, please.
Just as an aside, the senior center is gonna start charging 5 cents a copy because we're going in there. That's July 1st. So we're not gonna go there.
Okay. All right, next item on our agenda, is to discuss, the rec, department and what's happening, some of the things that are happening there. I've had a couple of opportunities to try to get in and talk to the, rec director, but we seem to be not making connections. So, I sent out an email to her and asked her to kind of give me some information on some of the things that are going on. One of the things that everybody's concerned about is the pool. You know, it seems like it's always closed. So I asked her to give me some background on what's happening there. And she highlighted that there's a shortage of lifeguards. Number one, that's one issue she said. They did hire one, and right after the person got their training, they quit. But they are in the process of hiring 3 new lifeguards, so hopefully that'll rectify that situation in the near future. But they've also had some equipment failures. One of the pumps to an exhaust fan is failing. A Dectron, which helps control the humidity. That's not operating properly. The boiler has been having issues controlling temperatures for both the water in the facility and the pool. That has been replaced and corrected, but they still have some fan motor issues, and maintenance is currently working on that. So one of the things that I'm going to suggest to her is that as opposed to just putting the pool is closed, put some sort of information as to why. No lifeguard, unfortunately no lifeguard for today, or there's something damaged with the pool and we can't regulate the chlorine or whatever. I think that would be real helpful. She also included on this email that I sent out to everybody, I had to send it 3 times, 2 separate ones, because there's a lot of stuff there. And as Gary said, one of these documents was 60 pages long. Rather than try to digest everything, I've invited her to come to our next meeting, and she's going to put that on her calendar so that we can ask some of the questions that we've been wondering about, so we can be better informed as to all the activities that the rec department provides, and a breakdown of what everybody's job responsibilities are, because that seems to be a bit of confusion there. So right now, we know that she'll be here next week. She's already committed to that.
Next month.
Thank you. Next month. Today was short notice for her, so she couldn't make it, but she did provide us with all this information. I hope it's been helpful. Knowing exactly what the programs are that they have, whether it's for seniors or kids or whatever, with some details. I do hope that's been, if you guys have a chance to read through it, I hope it's been helpful a little bit anyway. Does anybody have any thoughts, questions, or comments?
Well, I have some thoughts. I started to go through the printout that she sent us, and my questions to the rec department was, they were all financial. I just didn't see, it was very muddled. The whole budget process to me was very muddled as to where the money was coming in and going out. And I didn't think that we got clarification on a lot of things. I mean, I still don't know who or the rec department is supposed to be making a profit or not. Is it a non-profit department?
Yeah, your whole town budget's not profit.
Okay.
In theory, So what we're gonna do for July 1 was, I discussed, I think it was in February, March, setting up a separate fund for your recreation, and have you see the revenue and expenditure for line dancing, revenue and expenditure, and you can see that report. And then quarterly, I can then move the money over to the recreation, the budget line item that we have, set aside, and that's what we'll do going forward. And then you can see a printout for line dancing, how much money. So July 1, that's what we're doing. Set up a separate bank statement, all of the above. So that's what we're going to do.
When will we start seeing that? July 1?
July 1 is when we'll start, like someone does line dancing, they pay $5, we'll deposit it into that line dancing account. And then once bank reconciliations are done, then you can say, oh, it's good. And you'll see that. So you'll see it in August,
Okay.
after it's reconciled.
So in theory, that's going to show us what programs are making money,
Yeah.
breaking even.
You'll see a revenue and
how much
expenditure,
what's
revenue
costing
and
us money.
expenditure, yes. Yep, and I can just run that fund report and you can see it.
Good.
Yep.
That'd be nice to see since that's going to happen.
And he's gonna make that a part of our package?
Yeah, you can see that, yeah.
Perfect.
Any other thoughts or questions? I think that's something that we've been wanting for a while.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it in the middle of the fiscal year.
Right, back when Mark was here, we started asking for that, and,
Way back when we used this, a receivable account, and recreation has grown so much that it's hard to keep everything in that that one account, and then
Right.
try to break it out. So if I do it this way, it's easier.
But I think one of the questions several of us have had is this is a department that produces revenue, and we're not getting a clear picture of it.
I don't know if I would say that.
Well, they charge for stuff, so what they're
You see
receiving.
it on the revenue side of your budget,
Yeah.
yes.
And so I think that's been something that we've been wanting to get better informed on. So,
Yeah.
and I
This
think
should
that
fulfill that.
the predecessor was a little hesitant to be accommodating.
Okay.
I get, everybody knows where I live, I guess, I still can't get over that. But, I live in a condo, so the seniors, are constantly stopping me and they wanna know, where does that money go when I pay for aerobics? Why am I paying this? Well, okay, well,
So like your programs will have the instructor, and then what's left over can be rolled over into recreation.
and then from, my son and his family, and Joy has 167 best friends that all have kids in the school system, and they wanna know, I mean, school age, I don't mean school system. Rec, why are they charging this for basketball, or whatever, and then.
So then you'll be able to see it easier, yeah.
So I wanna be able to, give them an informed answer, I can't just say. No, I know, so I'm glad she's.
Take out the 60 pages.
Yeah, and give it to them. But there's no monetary amount on that, all 60 pages, there's no dollar sign. You've got the 60 pages right there.
There it is.
Is that the one? Sure. That's just what they charge.
Oh, okay. So you're looking to see what the actual,
Yeah.
okay.
What it costs to run the program and what they're bringing in.
Yeah.
They actually, yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments about the rec department?
Same for next month.
Okay. And you can email. She'll respond. All right, our next order of business is to set the mill rate for the fiscal year 2025-2026 with this.
Yeah, the rest budget, right? Yeah.
I've already invited her, she's already going to be here. All right, so the next item on our agenda is to set the mill rate for fiscal year 2025-2026. With both budgets passing, the proposed mill rate is 21.36, and we have to formally state that because it's part of our job. So do I have a motion to set the mill rate at 21.36? All right, we have a motion to set the mill rate at 21.36 by Stephanie. Do I have a second? Okay. All right, we have a motion made by Stephanie and seconded by Linda to set the mill rate at 21.36. Any discussion before I call for a vote? Okay. At this point, all those in favor of setting the mill rate at 21.36 signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 4 in favor, 2 against, 1 abstention. All right, last item on the agenda is to discuss the results of the referendum as pertaining to the capital improvement plan. At this time, I would welcome to the floor Mr. Art Gagne to add some comment before we begin discussion.
Okay, well, we just had a Board of Selectmen meeting, and with public opinion at the public hearing, We made a vote, we took a vote to move forward to the Board of Finance anyway, 200,000 for the transfer station out of the capital improvement. And that was the only one that we chose, was that.
So you're saying you want to remove the 200,000?
Remove the 200,000 from the transfer station out of the capital improvement
We've already removed 201,000
prior to.
prior to this.
I couldn't hear what you said.
I said we removed 201,000 prior to this, so.
Out of capital
Out of
improvement.
capital improvement.
Okay.
So this would be a total of 401,000 total.
Is this going back to referendum?
It is. We set the referendum tonight also. We voted on that for June 30th, 6 to 8 at the rec center.
Do we need a public hearing?
Hmm?
Did you find out we need a public hearing?
According to the charter, no.
We don't have to have a public hearing on this?
We have to have one for the other two. This is an equal. part.
For the budgets, but for the capital in 24E, if you have it with you, you could read it. It says it go to the Board of Finance, and then it'll go to referendum. I believe Kelly said it anyway. Did you set the
Yeah, I
public
said
hearing in
just
case?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it said,
So the
For
one
Monday.
is 3 equal parts. So you would need, whatever didn't pass, you would need a public hearing if they're 3 equal parts. My understanding.
especially if you're changing something, you want the public to know what you're changing. Because how are they gonna vote on it?
Right.
You know, I don't know, that's just my point of view.
Well, based on all the comments we heard at all the public hearings, it was,
It seemed like that was the one.
A wise choice?
I think there was a couple of missteps with that particular item, to be sure. So I think removing it is the smart, only option.
Back in the budget, yes.
Public hearing, no?
Yeah, yes. There will be a public hearing scheduled for next Monday, and then a referendum following.
Got it that time, everything being closed, whatever, 2 weeks.
What's that?
Everything being closed, whatever, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's already done it.
We've already,
She already did it before we got it.
yeah. Well, it's into the town hall today, because I realized tomorrow was holiday.
I can make statements. I will tell you, I'm taking every college orientation that night, so I won't be here, but I'll make sure someone.
All right, we can put Kelly on stage.
Just a question.
All right, go ahead.
Well, the sewer department's its own department, creates its own money. Why do we take so much money out of the town's capital, out of the fund balance? That's supposed to be its own expenditure.
I think okay.
Water pollution control,
Out of the auditorium.
$390,000.
I think we can be there. I just want to confirm. So the first 2 steps is that.
If that's its own entity and we have no control over it, why is it in our budget?
That's a,
We get order in this, on this board. Everybody's having different discussions. It's out of order.
yes, sir.
He works like this, I'm certain is open on Monday. I can check upstairs, I believe something is done on Sunday.
Okay.
This is air conditioned for sure.
This is comfortable, but if it's a public hearing,
I can flip this and have seats going that way and have more people.
well, we can kind of figure that out.
Let me know.
Yeah.
I'll need to let our staff know on Monday.
Okay.
Or on Friday. Because on Monday, I will.
All right, I'll reach out to you, and we'll get that clarification. So, Kelly, Sean raised a really good question, back to the capital plan. Says water pollution control, $390,000, why is that there?
That has to be on there because WPCA has that capital plan just like the town.
But it's their own separate entity.
It's their own separate entity, but we've always had them combined. It's just noting what plans they're going to have. Their budget is separate budget, it's
Right.
not the mill rate, this is not based on the
Right.
mill rate. I mean, if you you guys want me to have it on a separate sheet for
My-
next year, I can do
Essentially,
that.
it has to be public
But
knowledge.
Where is
it's
it coming
public
from?
information, that's all.
This 390,000.
It's not gonna get funded through the mill rate. All
Is
of
it coming through the general fund?
No.
The fund balance?
No, nothing with WPC comes from the general fund, none. All based on the user sewer rates.
Okay.
I think, I mean, Sean's saying it might be very helpful to have some sort of notation being included on this package. I mean,
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
they generate their own revenue through the water.
User rates, yeah. Correct.
Any other thoughts or questions regarding the capital plan?
Hey, the new fuel tanks are installed up at the highway?
I believe they are.
They are installed?
I don't want to say yes, but sure,
They're not?
they're not, okay.
Now, we're still using the old system.
Well, they're not hooked up, I know. But where the tank's actually set on the
No,
bases?
there's no tank up there yet, hasn't yet been delivered.
Oh, okay. Good.
I say get rid of 35,000 for the hookup.
We bought the tank, it's gonna be delivered upon
But,
the cement pad.
right, I'm just talking, I guess, to hook up the pumps for the tanks.
Then they'll just sit there for another year.
The way things are going, yeah. Would it be cheaper to rent a wood chipper instead of buying one for 90,000?
I can't speak to that. I'm not in the highway department. What their needs are, I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm not saying go out and get it rented for whatever.
I don't know how often they use it. I can't speak to that. I wouldn't want to take something from them that,
Worst scenario would be if they had a tropical storm or something like that.
I don't
you
know. They take a lot of trees down. I do know that. When a tree is damaged and it's close to the road,
Do we
Has
currently
to
own
come
a
down.
bucket truck, or is that still a co-op type deal?
Co-op.
Any other thoughts or questions regarding the capital plan?
Reevaluation starts next year?
So, reevaluation, we pay it, I want to say 5 installments. So, we pay 32, 32, 32.
That's a recurring expense?
Yeah.
How come that's in the fund?
It shouldn't be. I said that at another meeting, at the Board of Finance meeting, maybe the last meeting, 2 weeks ago. It should not.
Definition. I think there's a lot of wants in this. From the Board of Ed. particularly the $65,000 mule. That's a pickup truck.
Sean, we can't hear you down there.
So I think the mule at 65,000 is a little high.
Take out the 350 and the 250 for the ECC.
Yes. I'd actually respond to that. I agree with Sean. We get our interview meeting with the board, for that and the mule and the tools we have. We're currently pricing and quoting out the small, you've seen them, I guess they're called key trucks or tie trucks. These are the white trucks. They're actually sold in town. They run about $7,000. They're used vehicles, but they have a bed, and the bed comes up, and we can put a plow in front of it, and I think we're going to look to go that direction instead. So I would agree with you. We looked at that when we reviewed it, and we thought that that was, just given the way we budget money and spend it, we didn't think that was attainable. Like 65,000, that's what we spend on a van.
Right.
So we're gonna look for something else for that. So I agree.
I mean,
I
I mean, that would be a fancy top of the line one, that's, you know.
It was the mule plus the plow plus the cab plus the bed and the towing and all those pieces. We put it all together and knew that that's what it all comes to.
For diesel?
I actually think it was based on an actual quote, but I think we will get more value out of one of those small white key trucks. And two of our staff went down to meet with the gentleman to see what he had in stock of those pieces, and I'm going to adjust that with my calendar.
When was the last week? I'd like that Paul. Oh, Paul, when was the last time we replaced the cafeteria tables at Moose Elementary?
It was during my time here that we did one set of cafeteria tables at Mr. Elementary. I don't think we completed all of them.
You didn't do all of them?
No.
So that would be the remainder of them, or?
Yes.
Because I remember seeing that in the past, that's what I was kind of surprised to get again. And then, the ECC is on this page?
Yeah, 350.
Page 2, if you come over. Are we, who's doing that? It's listed on the school department, $350 for a roof and water heater, $250. Well, it's listed on the school department. No, if you look right above, it's the school department.
Yeah.
So it's like we didn't clear out. I mean, it shouldn't
So
be
this is
there.
saying ECC building, roof, the water, and then you go to the other side, communications, outbuilding, replacement floors, aisles, parking, street, and your, that's all in that section.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an all in that. Yeah.
So how can we send this document forward to be voted on by the people if we've got major errors in there still? Board of Selectmen?
That's all gonna be done, you can't send this document to her.
This
right?
document though is not, I'm sure he doesn't have this stuff budgeted.
Well, the funny thing is, we're not even looking at the document that they've approved. This is from the 6th, and they made changes today, so, I mean,
The
they're
only
asking us
change,
to
the
send
only
this forward.
change made today, which was at 5 o'clock, where I didn't have access, sorry, was 200,000 from the bulky waste transfer station. That was the only change the board of selectmen made.
If you wanna push it forward, go ahead, I'm gonna vote no on it.
Under public works, 200,000. Only change.
I don't think we should push it forward yet.
My comment would be that, does it still need these things? I mean, it's not being used as a school, but are these still things needed in that building? Because we still own it, we still need to maintain it, and we still need stuff, like if it needs a roof, we need a roof.
But does it need outbuilding replacements? Does it need floor tiling replacements right now? Does it need a driveway resurfacing right now?
Tiles, yes.
It needs tile,
It does.
100%.
That's fine, but we're still not sure what we're doing with the building. If we're gonna keep it, if we're gonna sell it, why would we tile it if we're gonna sell
If
it?
you're gonna get
I
a
can
grant,
understand
you
doing
need
a
to have
roof.
it in here. If
Yeah.
you're gonna get a grant for any of this stuff, it has to be in a 5-year capital plan. If you plan on using any state funding to refurbish it, to sell it,
Well, the other-
you can't just take it out and then expect to get funded for it. You're not going to.
The other problem with doing that is it gives me the ability to just go out and do it without us asking.
Well, if it's not in their budget, then no one can do it. Neither us nor the school. It's not in the town operating budget.
Yeah, the building still needs stuff, so, and we still own it. We don't want it to end up like the annex.
You're right.
That's the problem. And in order for it to not end up like the annex, until the town says one way or the other, because it's gotta go to a town vote on whether we're selling that or not, and it's been there before, we still have to maintain it, we still have things that need to be done there. When was that building completely redone?
20 years ago.
20, yeah.
Yeah, about,
Because the bond has come off it, right? A year or so ago?
Do we have a bond on that?
okay.
Was there a bond?
Yeah.
I didn't think so either.
We
A
modeled.
grant? Or what?
We had
Grant,
a grant. It
grant.
was like 4.1 million.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, 25, yeah.
And also, Dean, you're not supposed to be reoccurring out of the fund balance, right? But technology comes up every year. Is that a reoccurring expense, or how do we classify that?
This is not fund balance usage. When you guys look at this report, it doesn't mean the city funded it fund balance. You have to look in the budget to see where the source of revenue came to fulfill the obligation to purchase whatever you want on this project. Some of this stuff might be in the fund balance and operating. Your public already voted on it, you can't change that. This is the way it was proposed. So the only items on here that's part of the fund balance is you hook up your gas pumps, the accessory vehicle, road construction, revalve, wood chipper, the SUV for the police evidence building, electrical, and transfer station, which the Board of Selectmen got rid of, so that is gone. Household hazards, please say, the data terminals for fleet. Those are all funded through the fund balance. None of the other items on there aren't in our budget. But if I wanted to complete one of those items and use state funding, it needs to be there. Because if it's not listed there, I can't use state funding for it, and I'll just shift this money back to the state. It has to be part of the capital plan. Because we just modified one current capital plan at the Board of Selectmen. State mandates.
I think the problem is, it's all listed on one grouping, and even though some of it is in our operating budget, it's still listed here, so there's no way to differentiate what's coming out of the fund balance. I think in the future, what would be helpful is that some sort of designation, even though it's part of the capital plan, it's part of the operating budget.
Oh, like a symbol.
A symbol, because that, and then separate the two, the totals.
Dean, isn't this a 5-year capital you're looking at?
Right.
So some of those items didn't get put onto the budget because it wasn't realistic, it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Probably. So the ones that got put onto the budget are the ones we're looking at. Like the ECC.
What's that?
Like ECC.
Yeah.
Those weren't realistic to put on the budget because we're trying to sell it. So,
Well, we don't know.
no, but the board selected, that's the last we left it. It's still up for sale, so
Take care of it.
we have to take care of it, yes. Maintain. Maintenance and capital, different.
What are we gonna do at this point, Dan?
Go home and go to bed.
Well, then we gotta make motions, we gotta move along here. What are we gonna do?
Well, you've already withdrawn the transfer station items, that's the change that you made.
That's why we're proposing to you, to take that and hopefully that'll pass it. We're hopeful.
Huge obstacle, so. Speed bump's been removed.
I can hear you.
The speed bump has been removed.
Yeah.
So that leaves us, what, 600 and something in capital improvements for the budget? And 300 of that is road construction? And a few other, the other things.
Yeah, 200,000 out of there is 666,000.
Now, if you want to get rid of items that are still on there that come from the fund balance, we have the authority to do it tonight. We don't need to select, because we control the fund balance.
But if the public already voted on that, and it's an approved budget, I don't know how you just ditch it.
Well, he did something that wasn't right, because he has no control of the fund balance. We do.
Who? Who
You
did
guys,
something?
you guys.
No, we didn't.
What are you talking
We
about?
moved it to you. We didn't cut it.
moved
We
it
didn't
to-
cut the 200,000 for the transfer station. We're moving it on to you because section 24E
Right.
gives the
Okay.
power to you.
Okay,
This is our suggestion. We want you to
Right.
cut that.
okay, all right.
That's all. We didn't cut it yet.
We're asking you.
All right, break that down for me again. What is, a lot of conversation going on.
200,000 out of
200,000 comes off the capital, and that is, basically goes back into the fund balance, because that's where it's coming from.
you can't, I don't know how you want to do this. So, the problem is the budget was already approved by
Right.
the public. You can't change the budget.
Right.
you can have the board of selectmen say they're not going to spend the 200,000, and then that in theory goes back to the fund balance. Whatever's not spent goes back to the fund balance,
Right.
yes.
So essentially what we're looking for tonight is you've already made the suggestion to remove the 200,000 to the transfer station from the 5-year capital plan. That's your.
From this year's capital
From this
plan,
year's capital plan.
improvements, right.
But in reality, you just said it was approved, so we can't.
You can't touch the fund balance, you can amend your capital.
Right,
This
right.
wasn't approved, this
Right.
wasn't approved,
Yeah.
you can amend your capital.
Right, but technically, it's still in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always the risk of,
That's why it
Wait,
shouldn't be being
wait.
done like that. There should be a set aside for the
Other
capital
towns-
budget.
other towns do have that. That would have to be adopted, by the board of selectmen and the board of finance, and move forward that way. That means you have to have a separate fund, and it's just the money in that fund, that's all you use, that's it.
Would that be like a capital improvement fund for the year? That does sound like a good idea.
Other towns do that.
Things that would make more sense here.
Yes. Yes.
We're gonna move the vote?
Yeah, I think we should. They have suggested that, we remove the 200,000 that are allocated to the transfer station from the 5-year capital. That's essentially where we're at right now.
Send it to public hearing.
And then it goes to public hearing.
See what the public says.
Yeah. And then we go from there. All right, so I will entertain a
18,
motion.
before you continue,
Yeah.
because you keep saying public hearing, have you read this?
I've read it so many
24E,
times that
in preparing and presenting the annual town budget, Board of Finance will prepare and present a capital improvement plan and will include a 5-year plan for capital improvements. At each annual town budget referendum, there shall be a third question presented to approve the capital improvement plan. Should the said plan fail to be approved, the Board of Finance may revise it and, in coordination with the Board of Selectmen, present it to a subsequent referendum for approval. It says nothing about a public hearing.
So,
On two,
technically, we don't have to,
right,
but,
and on the rest of it, the other two budgets, it specifically says,
Yeah.
go to public hearing, go to referendum.
it
So,
specifically says that, but based on what we've experienced this year, I think the public needs to know what has been happening.
I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying it's according to this.
No, I think it really should have a public hearing, because I think it should be updated, and people should be able to ask the questions that they've been asking, and we should be able to answer them as best we can. We've heard from the public that they do not want this transfer station, for a variety of reasons. So we need to formulate a motion. My suggestion is that we take the Board of Selectmen's recommendation and remove the transfer station from the 5-year capital plan and send the adjusted 5-year capital plan first to a public hearing and then to a referendum. Because I just, even though it's not required, I think it's the right thing.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion made by Don, do I have a second? Motion made by Don and seconded by Stephanie. The motion is to remove the $200,000 from the 5-year capital plan, send the adjusted 5-year capital plan first to a public hearing and then to a referendum. Any other discussion?
We won't be able to make any other changes to it after the public hearing.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can.
If they come up with something else.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You gotta
it's
schedule
good.
a meeting, you have to have a meeting scheduled and have, so we can have a meeting.
Right after
Yeah.
this meeting
Yeah.
scheduled and right after public
Under
hearing.
other discussion though,
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable sending this forward, because I just, right now, I'm seeing things that I'm not comfortable with in their documentation. So, I'm not comfortable with it, but you guys do what you gotta do,
Well,
and see what happens.
You have to tell us what you're not comfortable with, so we know what to do.
The fact that all the ECC stuff is still listed under the school department. The fact that the mule, sounds like they might be going in a different direction. I'm just not, and then, we're talking about taking the $200,000 off, but we don't see it on the document. I would have liked to see that.
We had the meeting at 5 o'clock, I don't know how we're doing that. But, okay, I can bring a printable.
Because they've already set a meeting for next
I can do
week.
a laptop with a printer. You can print it out for me. I don't have that, but I can order one. Normally, after revisions are made, I go back to the revision and then I send it out to you guys. That's normally, it's time constrained right now, yes, I totally understand that. But this is where we're at, I don't.
So you wanna see it cleaned up, basically?
Which we normally.
Like I said, I'm only one member, so let them pull it out and we'll go with it, see what happens.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that we're at this point because we've got enough feedback from the public about particularly this one issue, which should not be on the 5-year capital plan. So if we have another public hearing and we get additional feedback, we can make more adjustments after that.
So the motion would be just about the 200,000.
The motion
and all
would be-
the other stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
and just-
We would remove the 200,000 from the 5-year capital plan, promote forward the adjusted 5-year capital plan to be discussed at a public hearing next Monday, followed by a referendum to follow. And Don, you made that motion? No. And Stephanie, you seconded it? No. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please raise your hand. All right. All opposed? Abstain? All right. We have 5 in favor,
6.
2 opposed. Gary, did you oppose? Or abstain?
Stay.
Yes, okay. All right. That motion carries. At this time, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, everybody
I'm
jump
gonna
at
print
once.
out everything on set aside and how capital budget.
What's that?
And also the board will
All right.
So what are we doing, did you get people or no?
I'm sorry.
Who was the first and who was the second?
Adjournment.
Adjournment.
Oh. I heard mumbling from.
You didn't adjourn yet.
So who motioned to adjourn? All right, Stephanie motioned to adjourn. Who seconded?
Sean did.
All right, Sean, you want a second?
Yep.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any? We are adjourned.